Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Let's start with a story in which karma caught up with the bad boss. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. She deserved it. I used to work in a small foodie-type pub, very local. This woman, my boss, let's call her BT's, was horrible and vile to everyone. Staff as well as customers. I've never seen so many people walk out of that place. She was actually insulting people's music taste, physical appearance, most of what would not affect their work performance. Once some customers asked if there was any ketchup, to which she replied, "There's a shop down the road. Go buy yourself some." So I was relieved when I finally got out of that hellhole. I wrote many terrible reviews under different accounts on Yelp, TripAdvisor, Google, etc. I rallied friends to do the same, as well as spreading things by word of mouth. I found out after a year she lost the pub and is living in a crappy flat and working a poundland on minimum wage. Karma, B. And our second story. Get away from me. Lord Hammersey. I knew this would happen after a matter of time. I just didn't expect it to take this long. A customer finally snapped and full-on screamed at another customer who got too close to them today. Our store is relatively large, but we keep capacity pretty low overall because people get jammed up in smaller sections of the store. Candles is a great example of a place in my store that gets jammed up quite a bit because everyone loves effing candles. It's tucked away in a corner. There's a couple rows. There's a weird display shelf just chilling in the middle. Anyways, I was in the back corner making my rounds, checking in on guests, encouraging guests to safely smell the candles and answering questions. I'm checking in on a guest and going over features of a couple of different candles. I can see a guest is trying to get my attention, and I move out of one of the guest's way, but I was just helping, and I can see that the other guest that flagged me down is distancing themselves from everyone. I strike up a conversation from a distance and make my way around to an area that's less crowded for them and for me. There was one person by our weird shortened display shelf, and they're holding some candles. Now, I must have missed the first part of this altercation where the customer I was helping asked the one by the display shelf to keep their distance because what happened next seemed out of nowhere. The customer holding candles by the display shelf must have changed their mind, and they went to go around the customer I was helping. The customer I was helping started screaming and thrust out their arm with their hand up. "Stop! You're too close! You need to back up!" Other customer, I told you before to get away from me! Me to both customers, "Can I have you just go around the other way for me right now?" It was super awkward, but also in an effort to not continue to cause another screaming match and de-escalate, I immediately put the screaming customer in what's basically an employee-only area. It's normally an open part of our store, but it's closed off for staging right now, so they could continue to shop at their comfort level with the candles. It was awkward a little bit, but they were super appreciative and receptive to everything I had to say about the candles and even smelled a couple. Someone came by and was like, "What's with the customer and all the candles in the staging area?" So I explained what happened and said it was a de-escalation technique, but also I didn't want them screaming at anyone else that I dared get too close. Later, the customer who got screamed at came up to me and was upset. I did apologize and tell them I understood. I would have been too, but it's incidents exactly like that we're trying to avoid by limiting our capacity size and asking customers to socially distance. And right now, it's up to everyone to do their best to follow those requests as best they can. My boss, who watched the second person talking to me, actually overheard me and said I handled it well and said all the right things. I felt a little bad because I just left the end of the conversation hanging there. There's really not much else I could say or do beyond that, really. And our next story. You're to report to me after every task. I work at the Orange Fabric Hardware store located mainly on NA continent. I was putting myself through college on the overnight team, working 9 p.m. to 4 to 5 a.m., then having class at 7 a.m. and labs until 5 p.m. most evenings, meant my allowance for BS was low. I'm a science degree and always have labs. I was supposed to clock off at 1 each night since I was only part-time. At the Orange Fabric store, they considered it a working warehouse, so they have all the powered lift equipment, and I was pretty good at it. So good that after 4 years there, I was the only person trained on one of the machines for my singular team stocking freight. The OP, think a cherry picker with a 4-foot metal platform attached for the uninformed. The problem: because I was in school, I refused to work late evenings before tests and would sometimes call out entirely for big exams. It was the primary use for my sick/vacation time. My supervisor and the operations manager above me loved me, so it was no problem, until cool bosses left. Enter D manager and ditzy supervisor. D manager wanted to clean house of anyone who could think for themselves, meaning someone like me. Ditzy supervisor wanted to be promoted quickly, so she did whatever DM wanted. The prelude and the act. DM and DS were being ridiculous one night, and I had an exam the next morning, so I started getting things ready for me to do OP work. I planned on leaving at 1. I talked with DS about it 2 weeks prior and had gotten it in writing from the store manager. DM and DS stopped me, asking what I was doing. No one was leaving until everyone was done. We had 5 people and got from 3 to 4 trucks a week. To say we were behind was an understatement. Me: I have an exam in the morning. I'm the only one who can do these tasks. I'm getting them done before I have to leave. It's around 11. DM looks at me and says, "Okay, go about your business." I should have seen the stupidity coming. The next day I come in and get called into the office. DM and DS are there. DM: Last night we noticed that you were doing tasks that weren't functioning with the group, and while we didn't explicitly say not to do them, you were asked to work freight, not the OP work. Me: Isn't the OP just another part of the freight? And I had an exam. Looks at DS: You were aware, it's on the note here and in the system. DS: While that's true, since you're a veteran member of the team, we need you to be more proactive in showing the new guys what to do and who's in charge. DM: So from now on, every task must be given to you explicitly by DS. If you're seen doing something that isn't from her direct orders, then you're not to do it. When you finish your tasks, you're to go to her and get your next one. Me: Stares. My father was in the military and my grandfather was a DI. I'm told I'm quite stone-faced. DM: We need to get you to sign this stating you understand. It was one of those sheets they use when doing non-fireable punishments. Basically, you've been told you're screwing up. If you keep it up, we'll use this against you later if we decide we want to be rid of you. And they stay in the computer system for 6 months. So, for example, you can only be late 4 times in a 6-month period. So say you're late 3 times in January. If you're late before a certain date in June, they'll put you on a final warning. It didn't matter what I did. I was under DS's heels waiting for my next task the moment I was done. If she was in a meeting with another associate, I waited outside the door. If she was on lunch, I waited for her to decide to take notice of me. If she was in the bathroom, guess who was right outside the door? To top it off, I made some charts and spreadsheets of my grades from when I had the good bosses and then the new situation. After reviewing them with my store manager, I convinced her that under no exception am I to be kept late. So for the next 5 months, I left at exactly 1:01 a.m. If they tried to keep me later, the manager called DS and DM in for a tongue lashing. And our last story: birthday present to ex-wife. Gather round, boys and girls, because it's time for the story of my cheating ex-wife. So I had a feeling she was cheating as she set off a lot of red flags. Constantly laughing and smiling when texting, saying it was just her mother when I asked, needing to stay late every night after work. When I'd call in, her coworker said she left hours ago. When I asked her what was going on, she'd laugh it off and say it was just something they did to each other at the office all the time. The last straw to where I knew something was definitely up was when she went out to get milk at 11:30 at night and didn't come back until 2 in the morning. Now, if there's any words of wisdom I can pass on to others in all my years of experience, if you think your significant other is cheating, hire a effing private investigator. They're GD good at what they do, and they will get some evidence that really helps in the later divorce. Fast track to her birthday, several months down the road. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why the hell did I wait months before I confronted her? And did it really need to be on her birthday? The answer to the first question is I wanted as much evidence as possible to hand off to my lawyer, as well as make arrangements to find a new place to live, etc. Answer to your second question is, of course, it had to be on her birthday. You see, after asking her what she wanted to do on her birthday this year, she said she rather insisted on me going out of town with my friends, as she just had to work anyways and didn't want to be reminded she was aging. So I know something is up, and after finding a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses hidden in my closet, something in me snaps. So I do what any sensible man would have done. I leave and go to my friend's house, pretending like I'm going out of town. While there, I call up her mother, father, sister, and several of her friends. I tell them how I want to give her a big surprise by sneaking into her room with party streamers, kazoos, and a big cake with candles. Sounds fun, right? Well, boy, was it. It's 8:30 in the morning, and I have everyone meet just outside our apartment. We all pile in the elevator, about 8 of us in total, her mother holding the cake and me reminding everyone to be as quiet as they can be. I put my key in and unlock the door. We all sneak in and make our way down the hall towards the bedroom, each holding a kazoo and Mom holding the cake, grinning from ear to ear. Well, as I throw open the door and we all yell, "Surprise!" But the surprise was on us, as there was my wife with her lover staring at us wide-eyed mid-thrust. Mom drops the cake, sister screams, father begins to shout. I pretend like I'm horrified, to which her friends try to push everyone out while yelling at her. Ex-wife is sobbing and screaming, "How could I?" while the lover is desperately trying to put his pants on while running out of the place. Needless to say, it was one of the best birthday presents I've ever given. After so long of being betrayed, I was the one who got to have the last laugh. Plus, since I had hired the private investigator, I was able to prove she was using my money to pay for things for her lover, hotels, dinners, etc. So I did get some compensation for that. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.